Well, I was just gonna say like a top line. I think is just like top line, just understanding the size of podcasting, and I think that's something that really crystallizes it for me. And I know a lot of people who listen to this podcast are like probably largely like us, mainly work in the games industry, or at least that's where I probably got a bit more experience. So for me, when I think giant platform wars, the absolute peak of that was something like the Ninja Mixer deal. Right? When that came out, that was mind-blowing. $50 million was like the ballpark that was being thrown around, and that was for like a 4-year agreement or something like that. But that was insane. That was the biggest thing ever. Amazon versus Microsoft, like the big clash of the giants in streaming, which is this huge new space in our industry, or growing space in our industry. And then all of a sudden, it's just like Spotify, $200 million, Joe Rogan, get over here. Like,
yeah,
the scale is
for me,
staggering.
I think it shows as a content platform where the platforms are working out that the most value lies. Because if you're Spotify, one, there's the fear of missing out. And yes, they want his content on the platform. But also, I think the music streaming world is very nuanced, and it's more difficult for Spotify to make a lot of money off music because there's so many different people that are taking slices of the pie. There's the people that own the rights to the songs, the people that own the rights to the production, to the music. It's a pie that's being cut up in many, many ways. And I think what podcasting presents that is so interesting to these audio streaming services is, one, huge listenership. 2 is massive retention. So if you go on Spotify and you want to listen to one song, you can just go on for one song. The retention on podcasts is massive. It's like people are uploading between 30 minutes to 2 to 3 hours. Joe Rogan's podcasts are like 3 hours long. It's insane. Too long for me, but they're that long, and the retention on podcasts is just huge. Most people are listening to like probably between 60 to 80% of the podcast, which is insane compared to the actual time that people would be spending on the platform listening to music. And 3, I think it presents a much bigger revenue interest for a platform like Spotify. They're able to sell ads against it. They're able to have more people listening to ads for longer, which just means they're making more and more money. And I think for Spotify, they're probably recognizing that the return in podcasting is way, way bigger than the return in music. And people are consuming content in more ways now. Like, I think video content is amazing. Obviously, that's what we both do. But there comes a point where people can only watch so much stuff. And there are the moments when people are on the train going to work, or, doing chores and that sort of thing, and they can't be watching content, so they'll be listening to content. And I think the fact that this comes off the back of Spotify also buying Gimlet and The Ringer, both of which are 2 big podcast networks, shows how much Spotify is wanting to eat up market share in that space.